We get into this next session and it is going to be good. It's going to be good. So we've been talking about community all day. We're going to continue that. And now we're going to start getting into our style, right? Because style is all about self-confidence and boosting that self-confidence. And the importance of community as well when you're trying to reach those goals. Remember, we keep talking about that. Pay attention to these reoccurring buckets because they matter. They really do when we're trying to live our best life. Okay, you guys, so our next panelist is an Emmy award-winning costume designer and fashion stylist to the most stylish A-list celebrities. Her innovative approach to styles that blend high-end and low-end brands, setting trends and pushing boundaries in the fashion industry. Now, she just opened The Show Must Go On, which is a sustainable luxury fashion rental and styling studio in LA. And most recently, she joined Marshall's Good Stuff Style Collective, and she partnered with them to help identify the trends, okay? Because we all want to know the trends. We all want to be in fashion. But before that, back in 2020, Zerina launched Black Owned Everything, which is a platform that gives visibility to Black-owned brands and creates meaningful community, celebrating creativity, and has served as a launching pad for lots of independent designers. She is committed to uplifting the culture and her community, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about how she built such a powerful community for others and herself. So please join me in a round of applause to welcome Zerina Akers. Hey, girl. You better sashay. I know that's right.
I know, I was trying to.
Hey, girl.
Ooh, sorry.
That was all that love vibrating. Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Oh, we are so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about, right? You see all these faces, eager.
Okay.
Right? Okay, you see the melanin represent. Oh man, so Zarena, you have had such an amazing journey.
First of all, thank you for that introduction. That was
Oh, yes, girl, I gotta hit all the points. Okay, we're not gonna miss nothing because it all counts.
I was like, people don't even know about the showroom like that yet.
Okay, listen, they know now.
Yeah.
Period. So you have had an amazing fashion journey. I mean, from the Institute of Fashion in Philly to being an intern at V Magazine to being an Emmy-winning woman, period. Okay? So I want to know, when did you first fall in love with fashion, and what was your aha moment where you knew, like, oh, this is my career. This is it.
I think I always loved fashion. I think, like, I was always a little girl, like, I have, like, 18 photos of me in this same Easter dress from like the age of like 3 to like 7 because I fell in love with this like red polka dot dress and I never wanted to take it off. And I would say that probably that's when I fell in love with how fashion made me feel. There's like photos of me trying to climb up in the closet to like find this dress because my family had to hide it from me.
Oh, she gonna get the dress again. Lord, hide it in the closet.
So yeah, I'd say it was at a very young age. I think I started to notice how, clothes made me feel and made other people react, to me. And then I'd say my aha moment was, I think in high school, I started like reconstructing clothes and I put on like a fashion show my senior year, and people was like wearing my clothes that I would make and paint on. I'm from Maryland, DC, so that was like a thing, painting on clothes from back in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we want to hear
Is
you.
that better? Okay, because I was like, I'm like triple mic'd up at this point. And I started like designing clothes, and people, it was really well received. People like still has some of the stuff that I made in high school, and I since then started pursuing it as a career. I thought I had to be a designer. That's since changed, but that's what I knew. I think I always knew I wanted to do what I loved. I didn't want whatever I was doing to feel like work, so I wanted to be enjoying what I was doing for a living.
Yeah, I mean, even in high school, that had to be a moment like, wait, y'all really wearing my stuff. You really liked it.
Exactly. But I was always a
confirmation.
hustler like that. I remember being in like 5th grade making beaded bracelets. Remember those little tribe beaded bracelets? And I would wear them up into my arm, and then I would sell them for $1.
I know that's right. Hustler, period. Okay. So Your career is so impressive. I mean, from styling celebs like Beyonce to Meg Thee Stallion to, like we mentioned, launching Black-owned everything. So how has your community and support system like really shaped your journey? How has it made a difference for you?
It's really, I mean, I feel like I'm from like, again, like I'm from like a little hood in Bladensburg, Maryland, and I didn't even know how big it was okay to dream. You know what I mean? You have these like visions for yourself, but you don't really know what's possible or what's really feasible, you know, as you're growing up. All you see is the world around you.
Yeah.
So I'd say my early community started with my aunt and her just being supportive. I was raised by my aunt and my grandma, and just her just being supportive of anything that I was doing. Like whether I wanted to go and draw one week and be a ballerina the next week, she was like willing to support any of that. And that alone, I think, made a difference in me being able to see myself in any position. Her making sure that like we had Black Barbie dolls and we had like, you know, all these sorts of things, and saw ourselves at a young age. I think that started. She would teach us how to use a fax machine and how to what nail color we should wear, and that I think was an early onset of like understanding professionalism. But then just growing up, I think because I didn't grow up with my mother, I was constantly like putting together these mother-like figures in my life. So I was always really close to a lot of my teachers from elementary school, middle school. I'm still close with a lot of them from high school. And it was just like these strong Black women that I thought were fabulous or funny, you know, or whatever. And I kind of just attached myself. Through that, like, got my first boyfriend. I was dating like my English teacher's son. You know what I mean? It was always like, it was always kind of a thing for me. I think not even understanding what I was doing back then. It's like creating that community around me, and always kind of seeking mentorship. To now, it was like, I remember having a mentor, June Haynes, who's become just a dear friend of mine today. I just remember her, she was always traveling, always moving, and I would reach out to her, and like once a year, she would just say, I'm here at the Ritz-Carlton, come, I'm free between, it could even be 2 and 2:15, or come, I'm here all day, just come by and see me. And I would see her like once a year, but the fact that she made time going from Italy to Japan, I'll be in New York for 2 days, and one of those 2 days, she was making even an hour for me. Like I thought that was so profound, and I've been having to kind of take from that and like make sure that I'm creating space for people, because that's not like, now that I'm kind of living a very similar life, it's like, in that one day you got at home, you want to go, I mean, yes, you have to, you know, what somebody did for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we actually just had the session before this was all about mentorship. So, you know, speaking about community and things that you learn from other people around you, or women, whether it's your aunt, your grandma, or a teacher, what is one of the lessons that you can share with us that you really carried with you that you've learned from any of those women?
I'd say the biggest thing I've learned was if it's in front of you, you can handle it. Like I think oftentimes people aren't afraid, they're more afraid of success than they are of failure.
Come on now.
So it is that if an opportunity is presented to you, if it's in front of you, you can handle it. If you trust me, if it wasn't in front of you, God will take it away. You know, and I realized that to be true in my life. Whether I'm supposed to costume a film, and then something happens at the last minute, they go with another person. It's like I probably would have, you know, whatever it was, it wasn't meant for me. You know, or if it's like, dang, I got this job. How am I going to get from New York to LA? And it figures it out. Whether I'm telling you, like the flight will be delayed, like whatever it is, it'll always work out. So don't be afraid to say yes. Like just say yes. I think Shonda Rhimes wrote a book like The Year of Yes, and I'm back to that. I think I've had many years of saying yes to everything. I think oftentimes we're trying to grow in our career, but then we forget that you have to still hustle. So when you get to making money, you know, you're making a little something, now you don't want to do that thing that just paid, you know, X amount, or, you know, or you think you're kind of above doing anything. And I always go by the motto, a chicken feeds its belly grain by grain. So it may be a $10,000 project, it may be a $500 project, you know, it may be a $150. I'm like, if I'm not doing anything that day, let me go and, you know, figure it out and make room for, you know, whatever, maybe a smaller publication that couldn't afford, you know, whatever. And you just never know, I think, who you're going to meet in these spaces, and whatever you're kind of meant to take away from that day, is just always remaining open, I think, is the most important.
Man, that's great advice, because you really never know what to expect. We were talking about that as well earlier, about redirection or having to pivot when you need to, and you can walk right into a blessing that you didn't even know was going to be where you may have or may not have went. So
exactly. And you thought, like, I'm not gonna lie, I came from Jamaica, just landed this morning. I was like, okay, I think it's kind of good enough.
You look good. You look good, sis.
But it's like, it's simple things like that where you think maybe your outfit, you know, ain't, dang, I didn't get to put my face on. I'm not going to go, you know, and you just never know what you're missing out on or what was leading you, you know, in that direction.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of fashion and your look, which is fabulous as always. So I kind of want to talk about finding your niche in fashion, because that's kind of hard to do.
It is.
That's like discovering a hidden treasure, right? So how did you find your unique spot in the fashion world, and what tips can you give others who may be on the same quest?
You know, I think it's a combination of things. I think is kind of two ways to look at it. As someone just dressing myself, I think there's two, like, dressing myself is very different than dressing clients. And I think I had to kind of first find my own voice and how I show up in the world, and like putting on clothes, you know. So I always felt like, you know, fashion and how you show up is how, you know, it's the first words that you speak. It's the words that you don't have to say when you walk in the room. I realized that there was a power to that. I can show up for the job that I wanted. You know, I can show up, you know, in whatever that is. And I think a lot of even stylists, they've continued to work because of how they continue to dress themselves. You know what I mean? They can show up, because people want to look like that. They want to look like them. So sometimes it's as simple as, you know, taking that risk, putting on a look, because you'll get, and I'm sure a lot of people in this room got their friends, girl, what should I wear? You think, but they trust you, you know, they trust your opinion because they see how you show up and how you present yourself in the world. So as a stylist, it's been really important to gain that trust. So sometimes I think, you know, it's easy to kind of, because I'm a victim of wanting to be comfortable all the time.
Hello,
so I always I kind of go back and forth between, like, right now I'm into ultra femininity, but I'm really a tomboy at heart. So I kind of ride the line in this like little androgynous way.
Okay. But do you have a favorite piece, like, in your closet that's just like, oh, this is my go-to. I'm so happy that I have this. Like, this is my holy grail in my closet.
Right now, I've been wearing a lot of maxi skirts.
Okay.
Like, I've just been wearing full-length skirts. I've been feeling the most confident, whether it's like a soft cotton or like a denim. Like, I just like feeling like I have like a little train, you know.
Yes, the drama.
Like a cape. Like,
whip
I'm
it back
always excited.
Excuse me.
Excited for like Halloween. Like, I always wear like a cape because like you just want something blowing behind you.
I love that.
But yeah, I think that coupled with like being a stylist, it's different finding your voice and your niche in that world, because, or even thinking that someone cares about that voice, you know? So it's like, okay, I think once I discovered that I have something to say, and that, you know, and then that my voice mattered, and that I'm contributing to things that will outlive me. So what am I doing with that? I think there's a responsibility that comes with that people may not realize. You're getting caught up in the glamour and the designers, and there's a responsibility, I think, to the job we have, like, you know, the way that we help women show up as their best selves. Like, we help these very powerful women, you know, garner more power, more respect, a wider reach just by what they're wearing. You know, you never really pay attention to the fact that you want to listen to what that person has to say, and it starts by how they walked onto the red carpet, you know, or you want to get to know a little bit more about them. I think fashion and styling has become a huge part of today's industry in music. If I mean, because somebody can get up and sing on the mic, you know, but it's that showmanship. It's the full package. So being able to help someone kind of get to that point, like I said, like Jasmine Sullivan winning her first Grammy, or Michaela Cole winning her first Emmy, like that, like being a part of those special moments. I'd say it's more of a collaboration, because getting dressed is so personal. I don't know if someone could just be like, here, put this on, and it's gonna be like, okay, but I may want to show this, you know, or I may want to hide this, and it's a collaboration, I think. Just getting dressed in general, or styling in general.
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of answered it, I was going to say, because your personal style is probably a lot different from the people that you dress.
Yeah.
So do you kind of just go off the event, you go off their personality? Like, how do you actually differ how you style yourself and how you style them?
Yeah, I mean, I know I like twisted basics, so I'm gonna like something that has like an interesting twist, you know, to a classic piece. I like pants, I like skirts, like I can kind of do whatever I want to do, and I think fashion has allowed me to evolve and to play around with trends. Other people, you know, I dress a lot of curvy women, so some people have certain silhouettes that they stick to, you know, and things that make them feel comfortable, and it's hearing them. Like a lot of times people just need to be heard and feel seen, and it's hearing them. It's okay, I know I'm going to bring a rack of things that you love, but then I'm going to bring another rack of things that I want to help you, to push you out of your comfort zone,
that's good.
you know, and then it's like, okay, you have your safety net, things that you know you love. Oh, but I wouldn't typically wear this color, or I wouldn't typically have thought about this skirt, you know. So then it's a balance.
So even I feel like for all of us, that's something to think about. Like, hey, try on what you think may not, you know, it's not your usual style, but you never know.
It's something, because it caught your eye for a reason.
Exactly.
I remember I had a professor say to us, like, oh, if you go in the store and you think something is too expensive, try it on and see what it does, you know, see how it fits, and, you know, and maybe there's a reason. But with that, it's like, yeah, just try the thing on. Let's go sneak in the fitting room, you know, and take a risk.
Now, speaking of fitting, and like being in spaces that are different. Okay, so let's talk about staying true to yourself and not trying to fit in with everybody, okay? So how do you navigate different environments without the need to code switch?
Yes, code switch.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about this.
And how does your authenticity help you?
Yeah, authenticity, I've learned, because I think when I started as an intern at W Magazine, and I was the only Black girl as an intern, and it's like, okay, what am I doing here? You know, then I remember they hired Shiona Tarini as an editor, and then all of a sudden there was this Black woman, and I remember feeling like I had to speak a certain way, you know, feeling like I had to just be, you know, it was code switching for sure, but I didn't understand why I wasn't connecting with the editors. Like, why did they go to other people? Or why was it, you know, and then I became really good. I learned the city really well, and I became the go-to errand girl, which worked for me because I don't like to be in the office. So I got to go to Prada and come back, go pick up a dress at the airport. You know what I mean? And that's how I got to learn New York City, because I was commuting from Philly at the time. But it wasn't until I started working with the stylist Ray Oliveira, who was this like kind of flaming Brazilian queen, right? And he was amazing, but he didn't take no mess. Like he would just let you have it. Like he didn't care if you were the art director, if you were, and I was just look at him like, how, okay, as a Black woman, could I do that? Where do I fit in this? So I was constantly searching for like, you know, where do I fit? If you look around and everyone's married to someone wealthy or comes from a wealthy family, it's like, okay, but I'm just starting for myself. Like I just moved away from home. You know, no one in my family went to college. Like, how do I start something from the ground up? So, and for me, that requires representation.
Absolutely.
You know, so when I saw it was between him and there was a nail tech.
this nail tech, we were on a campaign shoot, huge campaign shoot, and she was just like, as like kind of a little ghetto as she could be. She was like, girl, and then girl, we want to do that. I don't want to be like, I was so fascinated. And people loved her. Like, it didn't matter. She was good at her job. And that's when I realized, oh, people, it was like, it's kind of like X-Men, Mystique. I think it was like Magneto. I'm like a little geek like that, but Magneto said
she switched. She was the one.
It was about, she was always in disguise. And he was like, how can you focus on your strength if you're only able to give a certain percentage, because you're constantly dedicating that percentage to being in disguise.
That's the word.
Yeah, and I when I saw that, I was like, that was the thing between watching those two people, is that they were authentically themselves. Absolutely. So then going into when I then went out on my own and became an independent stylist, I was like, just be cool. Like, just let the Maryland accent come out, let the PG County girl loose, and it will be fine. And that shifted my entire career, I would say. Wow. Like, just being my authentic self. It allowed for connectivity, you know, and that's where I think I wasn't necessarily connecting with people, thinking that I had to kind of be like, oh my God, yeah, and you know, and it's just a bunch of pretending, you know, that's just not necessary, you know, because that's what thing is, people, they are gonna be able to detect and sense that you being genuine, you being genuinely yourself, you being open and honest, even if you don't know something. I remember we were hanging out with my friend JoJo, and JoJo was just like, I don't really know what that is, you know, and I think I was just kind of taken aback, like, which I don't think that I would be. It's a vulnerable place to be. Yeah. Just being like, I don't really know. Can you teach me? Inform me. Like, but it's like, it's just endearing, you know, and I think people are human enough to understand.
Absolutely. I mean, I really feel like you hit the nail on the head, because how can people connect if you're not being you?
It's the first thing you sense is like that representative. And it's a mask and it's a barrier.
Plus, who you're being is someone who's at home just like you, or seeing you work just like you, and they're like, man, they're just like me, or they're just like my cousin or my sister or my friend. Like, if she's doing it, then we should do it.
Exactly.
So, man, that's a great note, and it's not about me, but I just want to say the same thing happened with me with Love is Blind. Like, the most thing that I hear from everyone is that we love how you are authentically yourself. You don't see that a lot on reality TV, especially with Black women. You're your own quirky self, and that's what people connect to, because that's how they are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so yes, that's a word. That's a word. So earlier, you know, we were kind of talking about self-care and some other different sessions. So I know that fashion is a high-pressure industry, okay? It's a lot going on.
Glamorous.
It's fast-moving, absolutely. So what helps you to maintain your composure throughout your career, but also in your life?
You know what's funny?
How do you keep it together?
People always say that I'm the most calm stylist that they've ever worked with, because we're not curing cancer here. Yeah. Like, this is not rocket science. You know what I mean? Like, okay, the dress didn't show up. Like, there's another dress, you know? Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, you have to go out on stage in like this or this, like, and it's gonna be fine. And it's about being confident, you know, in those decisions. But I think, you know, for me, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I think I freak out a lot internally when it comes to, I have a lot of anxiety, or I used to have a lot of anxiety.
Me too, Jeff.
So I kind of direct myself away from things that make me feel that, but then also, it's a fine line in like between running away and then like redirecting yourself. It's like, okay, this just may not feel good. It's one thing, the kind of nervous jitters, you got to get over it until you get to it. And you're like, oh my God, okay, that was great. But it's another thing when you're just like, there's a constant edge, you know, and your body's really kind of rejecting whatever that thing is. Absolutely. Listen to that. I think it's important to like listen to yourself. I always say, because you don't know who put that thought in there. You could be leaving out the house and you're like, did I turn the iron off? Like, instead of just go and check and make sure you turn the stove off or the iron off, because you never know what's putting that voice there. So for me, trusting like trusting yourself is like trusting God or trusting a higher power. Is you have to trust yourself first, because if you don't, you're gonna kind of constantly be questioning all the things that's coming your way. So that, and like just self-care and knowing it's gonna be okay. Like it's not gonna kill you. And what's the worst someone can do? Say no. You know, and you pick it up and you keep going, you know. Okay, you move to another city, it doesn't work out, like you move back, you know, like it's fine, you know, you'll be fine. Take the risk.
Follow your intuition, and also redirection can be a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. So I want to know, what advice would you give to young stylists who are looking to break into this industry? It's not easy.
Oh, girl, it's not easy. Especially because it's so saturated right now. It is, you have to have good business practices. Like, above all, anybody can pick out a good dress. They can call the Vogue, get look number 6. You know what I mean? That's all everyone's doing, is picking from the most recent collections. You have to be creative. You have to be resourceful. I think something a lot of people don't talk about is being in good financial standing when it comes to being a stylist, because if I go out to do a commercial, I get hired to do a commercial, people don't know, I have to, if the budget's $25,000 to buy these clothes, they may or may not give me an advance. If they in advance, maybe they're only advancing 10. So you have to be, you know, how to have that credit together, have that credit card ready, you know, and then they may not reimburse that advance for another month to 30 to 90 days. So, and that's after you getting your invoice and your expenses, you know, so it's like really kind of constantly being prepared to do that, you know, and remaining in good financial standing to be able to kind of fund that. There's a lot of big stylists out here that aren't, and they have to rely on their client to use their credit card, and that's a possibility too. It's fine, but
it may not
it's
always
much
be.
better if you're able to manage, you know, on your end, for sure.
So how do you manage? Do you know, speaking of finances, like, how do you keep your finances in check when you're building these successful brands? You have platforms.
Who said that?
You know, hey, I'm asking. You know, this is real life. Maybe, you know, it's a process.
Okay, so because I think there's a balance of being organized and making waves, and we know what I mean by making waves, right? So like, you know, if I was working a full-time job and they were covering expenses, I wasn't balling out and buying YSL bags. I was saving half of my paycheck because I could, so that when it was time for me to step out on my own, I was prepared. You know, I'm an advocate of ownership. I bought my first house at the age of 30 and paid it off in 5 years. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. When you look at that mortgage, when you go to make that first purchase, when you look, they have to show you the payment breakdown. If your mortgage, let's say your mortgage is $3,000, that first payment, probably only about $300 is going to that mortgage. And the first 15 years, you're paying interest. And then you start to really make a dent on your principal. So what I did was...
Teach us.
So what I did was constantly put down, if I worked an extra job or made an extra $500 that month, I would put it on my principal. And then slowly but surely, you'll kind of see that go down. So I was able to pay my house off. I probably could have did it in 3 years and I wasn't as disciplined. But I was able to pay my house off in 5 years.
Wow.
And since then, I lived mortgage free for a year or two, and I just bought a $3 million property for my showroom. And I was able to do that because I was able to refinance my paid off house to get this down payment and to do what I had to do. So then I used that to get the next thing. And then that's going to be the goal for this next one. And then, you know, and then I'll kind of get to do that cycle all over again.
Man.
Now I got to pay it all back, but you know what I mean? But it's like, now it's like, okay, like I have a clear vision, you know, and I have a clear plan.
Yeah.
What was your question again? I don't even
No, you answered it, okay?
Okay.
We were talking about finances and taking care, you know, being an entrepreneur, so.
Yeah, so I was saying the balance of that, of
Yeah.
being organized in that way, but then also making ways, like, you know, it may be that you're saying yes to every job, or you're driving Ubers, you know what I mean, delivering food or something on the off hours. Like, you gotta just hustle and not think that you're beneath. I remember when I started freelancing, I had no shame in going back and interning for free to learn. Like, you know, there was an exchange. I think that just, if you don't take anything away today, take this. Every sacrifice has a reward. Like, you have to sacrifice something. You can't just receive. You have to give something back. You have to sacrifice something to get where you want to go.
Man, that's good. That's good, Zarena. That's good. So, you know, you've accomplished so much already, and we're excited to hear about what's next. You know, any projects or goals on the horizon
I have
for you?
so many goals. I think at one point, okay, let me see. You know how like Law Roach was like, I'm retired.
Yeah.
I did that. I just didn't post about it.
Okay.
Like, I had kind of took a serious break where I said no to everything. And I just needed a minute. I felt like I was constantly of service to other people, and I wanted to just live my own life. And after, I think I stopped working with Beyonce in 2021, rolled right into Megan Thee Stallion, rolled right into Lotto. And I think I just needed a minute to like recalibrate. Like, I was with B for like almost 10 years, and you're in this cycle of what someone else wants, what someone else likes, you know? So for me, it was important. So it's like, okay, what do I like? What do I want to do? So I started traveling and chilling and making content, and just found a certain piece that now I understand my boundaries more. Now I understand. I think I'm 38 now. I just turned 38 in April, and and like you know, a quality of life is also important to me. But I do like to work. I enjoy it. I know I have to put in work to get to where I want to be, and I know I haven't even really scratched the surface yet. So for me, you know, it's a balance of self-care, taking those moments. I think everything has a season. Like, it might be that, you know, December to January, I'll take off the whole month of January. But after that, ain't no vacations, you know, it's no saying no, it's nothing, you know, it's no stopping, it's all gas. So, you know, so for me, it's definitely finding a balance of doing that, and working and grinding, but then, you know, kind of making space for yourself. I wanted to say more. What was your question again? I've been going off on a tangent.
Oh, no. I mean, we're just talking about your projects and goals that are on the horizon for you.
Yeah, so in taking that break, I started The Show Must Go On, which is yours in the fashion wardrobe rental studio, which has been crazy amazing. I think when I opened the showroom, I thought it would be resources for like, you know, stylists and costume designers, which it is, but I decided to open the doors to everyone. So any woman, man, woman, whomever can come in, and if they're just going to a wedding, you know, or just want something for their birthday photos, or like, and everyone gets the styling experience, and that changed the game. You know, we started to like foster an amazing community of women that are like C-suite level, and actresses coming to us directly, and like just people in the industry. It might be head of D&I at TikTok, or head of, you know, and it's just like all of these different women that appreciate fashion and want to have these moments, but that other showrooms may not have been valuing or giving them access. So giving women access in that way, it's just been so powerful. So right now I'm focusing on growing that. I just moved it into a house, and now I'm building out that experience just kind of taking it to a next level. We got a beautiful space, and I'm turning it into a social club. What they say? Okay. So I'm turning it into a social club where people can come and work, and you can kind of gain that community, and we're celebrating artists, and all the art in the space is for sale. And then you can go upstairs and get your looks. You can come down and chill by the pool. You know, so I'm building out just like a new experience. That's what I'm focused on right now. And then later this year, I'd hope to I'm working on a clothing line. I'd like to kind of dabble back in design again, and as well as focusing on building out the programming for the Acres and Acres Foundation.
Love that. Yes, so much good stuff going on.
There's some good stuff going on.
Creative hubs, all that energy.
You have to. Like, I want to do like style courses, you know, for like, okay, you know, what is it to be a good stylist assistant, or how do you break in the industry? I want to bring some of my stylist friends and be able to have this kind of safe space where people can come and learn as well. Yeah,
that's amazing. Oh man, this was excellent. So now we're about to open up for questions.
Oh yes.
Okay, so does anyone have a question? Don't be shy. Raise your hand. Yes, right here. Does someone have a mic? Yes, great. Right here, second row.
Was this now?
Oh yeah.
I just realized this one. You told me to do this one. Sorry.
Hello, I'm Sakina. My question is, what would you say is the most proud project you worked on?
Black on Everything. I didn't even get to talk about that. That Black on Everything. You know how I started it? It's 2020. Everybody knows what was going on in 2020. Just a bunch of unrest, right? And I started a private Instagram, and I started just like following all of these like amazing Black-owned businesses that I was coming across. Once I got to like 100 businesses, and I came across like a Black-owned car, Mims Motors. Wow. Like, I mean, it was insane the amount of stuff that I was finding. I was like, there's no way, I should just share it and just share some of my favorite things that I've seen. Like, why not? In 3 days, we had 10,000 followers, 20,000 in a week, 100K, we're at 300K now, 3 years later, and it's been a ride. And we've served as a launching pad just for so many businesses. So many other stylists have come and say, oh, I found this, and then all of a sudden I found this earring, and now they're on the cover of Elle magazine, or they're on the cover of, you know, whatever. These magazines are on these celebrities, and it's just been such an amazing resource and tool for the industry in a powerful way. So I'm hoping to continue to grow that as well. But I'd say that's the project that I'm most proud of. That was when I think things shifted and everyone didn't want to just interview me about Beyonce. Then they're like, oh, you know, that's when I knew I was onto something. I was like, because up until that point, it was just like, that was the headline. You know, but that shifted things for sure.
It's awesome. Okay. Oh, got a question right over here.
Hi everyone. Hi Zerina.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Bridget, and I wanted to know, did you have any doubtful moments during the earlier stages of your career when you was like, okay, maybe I should consider doing something else? That's kind of the process that I'm in right now, unfortunately. But yeah, do you have any like pinpoints you can share with that?
Yeah, I early on, you know, I think there was like a path to success that I was taught. Okay, you become an intern, then you start assisting, then prayerfully you start freelancing, you know, whatever. And after being an intern, I interned for a huge stylist. And the day that she hired me as her personal assistant, like, I think I was her intern for 8 months. I lasted 3 days as her assistant, because people tend to talk to you differently when they start paying you. And it just was, I remember being in tears, like, this is not, like, I think she wanted me to like go get her blueberries or something. And I came back and they weren't organic. And I didn't know, and that's also when I realized there was a culture difference too. I didn't know anything about organic anything back then. That wasn't how we shopped, or it wasn't even a big conversation. Especially where I was from, we were shopping at
like
Safeway and Giant.
Blueberries.
Yeah, and we didn't even eat blueberries. Let's get into that. And they weren't organic. So I remember it was 9 p.m. and I had to go back and get the blueberries and come back and re-buy them. And I didn't even have food in my own refrigerator, and didn't even know what I was like eating that night. And that's when I was like, oh, there's something that doesn't make sense here. So instead of pursuing that kind of high fashion thing where people were just kind of mean, a little nasty, like you work as an intern, I was working 14-hour days. I found my way to being an assistant in like more of a commercial retail. I mean, not commercial retail, commercial styling. And I looked around, I'm like, oh, we just got to be here till 6, and then we like have to leave. Everyone has to leave. Everyone's nice, you know. So it may not have been like the Vogues of the world, but it was still fashion. And that's when I discovered full circle moment. I was an assistant to Ray Olivero, and we were doing like TJ Maxx commercials and stuff like that. And it was the art of like finding, you know, wardrobe in this space and then having to foresee trends and style for a commercial that was going to be out in like 3 months, you know, like that. And it was just like that. And it's like fashion is fashion, and it was still fun to me no matter what level it was on. And I found a very realistic space that I could exist. And then, you know, and just kind of did that and learned all I could, did e-com styling, you know, assisted at, you know, Macy's catalog, you know, whatever it was. And then by God's grace, Beyonce became my first client.
What?
Literally, because it was like, oh, I've had a friend, and it was like, oh, I heard she's looking for someone. And I'm like, yeah, get me a meeting.
I guess I could do it.
You don't think it's going to happen. A month later, I really had a meeting. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I didn't even think I got dressed for it. I just went to the store. I'm pretty sure it was probably March. I just like grabbed a necklace and threw on a trench coat because I didn't have time to go back to Brooklyn. I was just like, I'm just going to go and figure it out. Had somebody downstairs holding my stuff, and you know, and it just was, again, not shying away from that opportunity. But yeah, it was definitely feeling like I didn't necessarily belong, and how, you know, just trying to kind of find a way out of no way. But know that like a cat has 9 lives. Like you live so many lives. I think there was a time, even when I was working with B, thinking that like, this is your life. And it's crazy that it's like a distant memory now, and you're just on to so many other things. You can reinvent yourself as many times as you want, you know.
That's good. Yes. Do we have a lot more time? Can we take some more questions? Okay. So we got 5 minutes, so let's take a question. There's 2. Oh, see, not everybody want to ask questions. No, I'm just kidding, y'all. Okay, so let's go. Okay, right there.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, y'all.
Hi.
Okay, so my question is, how has your perspective as a Black woman influenced your styling choices and approaches in entertainment? Just because, I know you're finna answer it, but I just am curious because I know sometimes they want to fit a quota or they want to bring diversity, but they don't really want what you have to offer. So how has you being a Black woman influenced that industry? They
always want they always want what you have to offer is the thing. Like, I think that's something that we tell ourselves, but they always want it because at the end of the day, we created a lot of these vibes, and we you know, were the first ahead of a lot of trends that we're seeing now. You know, so for me, it's important that no matter what level I'm working on, I'm always gonna bring a little bit of the ghetto, like a little hood, something, you know, whether it's a door knocker or an earring. I think there's always a different way to see it. So even if it's a monochromatic look, like I'm thinking about the grandmas going to church and her hat matches her bag, matches her shoes, matches her dress, matches her earring. You know how much attention to detail that is?
Yeah.
Like, we have really been, I think, ahead of many curves, you know? So I think it's important to understand that they always want to know what you have to say and what you have to offer, and just constantly remembering that.
Amazing. One more question? I'll let you choose.
It's 2. Just answer 2 real quick. I'll answer it quick.
Hey everybody, I'm Shanae. How do you manage your faith in your career?
How I manage my what?
Your faith in your career.
I intertwine the 2 because I don't know. It's just I wouldn't have one without the other. Really, like, to me, spirituality is king. Like, it's important moving throughout the world. Like, that's how I learned that I could utilize my enemies. You know, that everybody that was at work that may have been against me is really, you may just be there to give me a day off. Like, you're not my competition. You know, you're there for me to learn something. You're there so I think oftentimes we walk into spaces and we're kind of immediately combative. Like, if there's a new boss, go introduce yourself. You know, go in. I always made it a point to do that instead of just being like, Well, I don't know what she talking about. It's like, hi, I'm such and such. This is what I'm doing. Let me know if you have any questions. How can I, you know what I mean? And kind of just get in there, like, and not think that you're disposable. I think constantly making yourself like indispensable is important. But I've always rapped, whether it's like the expression of color, you know, or a type of dress that reminded me of something spiritual. Like, I've always just utilized it in my work because that's how you honor whatever has brought you there, you know, and whatever is like walking with you to protect you. And like, it's just taking that 15 minutes in the morning just to say like, this is what I'm thankful for. This is what I want out of today, you know, and this is what I want, because you never know what's listening. Like, that's why like vision boarding and things like that are important. I remember putting up, and I'm just taking up all the time, this is not short, sorry. But I just remember putting up a vision board in 2014, and I was like an assistant, and I assisted in this Beyonce video real quick, and like, and I just took a snapshot of that. Wow. And that by the end of that year, I was working with her. I wanted things like, I just wanted an Amex. I just wanted like to be there, and I would recenter, but it started with like the relationship with my mother. I would put like the thing that I wanted to focus on, and then I would put all the things that surround it. So then every year, and I found forgiveness, or I found like, then every year I would shift the priority to the center, and then all of those other things, whether it was just to work out and eat right, or, you know, and then, but when you put it up, you just never know what else sees it, and what else can kind of go and open the door for you, because you're not alone. You're never alone. Like, it's always, I think we all have things walking with us, guiding us, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just that simple, like speaking out loud, the vibration of your voice, not keeping it in your head. And even if you're just saying it to yourself in the mirror, saying it out loud makes a difference in the universe being able to hear you. And those vision boards, then it's like, okay, oh, that's what she want. I'm the spirit guide. Oh, that's what oh, girl, here. And then on the other side of that, it's like unraveling a little and letting the universe unravel the rest. Like that same entity, whatever it is that's here to help you, they can't go and open a door for you and come and pull you through the door. You gotta be willing to walk through that door. You gotta be willing to like try that doorknob, or like go open that window, go see if it's unlocked, you know? Right. And you have to kind of meet whatever it is halfway. Meet your destiny halfway, I guess. I'm trying to keep it real general, depending on what you believe in. Yeah. You know, but it's all one and the same in the end, really.
Love that. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I'm very intrigued because I started following you a few months ago. I had no clue you were Beyonce's stylist. So that proves your point, that things move on. Mm-hmm. You're amazing. I cut my hair because I saw your hair.
Oh my God.
I saved it. Okay. I'm 52 years old.
I love that.
And so seeing you here and the authority that you walk with at 38, be clear, you haven't scratched the surface, right? And I think that you just inspired me, right? I'm also a stylist. I've been doing it for 15 years, and I'm good at it, right, for where I am. But I think that what I'd like to hear quickly is that to show people about putting in the work, right? You have to you put a lot of work in, right? And everybody wants to say, I'm styling Beyonce, but you put a lot of work in.
Oh, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
At least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. At least.
Yeah.
Right?
And it definitely is that. Like, I was never above working for free. Or if it was, I wanted to go and learn something. I interned for 4 years. I don't know how I did it. I don't even know where I was getting money from, you know, or I worked 2 jobs.
Making it work.
I worked at Express, I worked at Wet Seal. I worked multiple retail locations, you know, and that was my way of like learning how to hang, how to fold, how to communicate with people, you know, and then I was able to kind of move and work my way up and through, and it was a lot of like, granted, I think today's generation is very different, you know, and rightfully so, like, because I think I've took a lot of SHIT, you know, coming up, and like, Yeah, now not so much. You can't speak to me that way, you know, but I was able to understand the hierarchy and where I was at that moment as an intern, and waited and was patient, you know, to get where I am. But like, it's not easy. A lot of people fold, you know, under pressure, and it's about, but you gotta stick in and do the work. And it's not, you wanna be, everyone wants to be successful. They wanna come in, work for 20 minutes, go out on their own, be Instagram famous, you know, and like whatever it is. But when you really get to it, I know dancers that will wanna be, I wanna be Beyonce's dancer. They get into that rehearsal and they quit. Like, and they quit because they just can't take the pressure, you know. And it's just about, again, every sacrifice having a reward. And, you know, but not, and again, also, it's not for everybody, and that's also okay. You know, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. I thought going into business for myself was gonna be easy. It's hard. It's hard. I work way more than what I used to. It's 24/7. I was just on vacation. You think I could put my phone down? You know, when I'm also like remotely managing a move of an entire showroom that I'm screaming because I can't even be there because I have to be in Nashville because I'm costuming a Cirque du Soleil show, like, you know, about country music that I knew nothing about and had to research, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, but why say no? Like, I'm gonna try. I never done anything like that before, or that grand. Like, it's there, I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna figure it out. You know, if it's there and the opportunity is still there, then it's my time. Funny thing is, there was a show prior that I said yes to. The show went away, and I didn't know what I was doing because I don't draw. So I had to find someone else to draw. Imagine, you know how frustrating it is trying to find somebody to draw what's in your head and having to communicate that. But I've been learning, you know, just how to verbally express myself. I'm still learning. Like, I started doing it, you know, even influencer work, and through even this partnership with Marshalls, I realized, like, wow, I've grown so much. Like, I remember fumbling over words, getting really nervous, and the and it's okay, I still do a little bit of that. But like, not knowing, you know, how to verbally express myself out loud, and I'm actually painfully shy in real life. But I've just practice makes perfect. Even if you're a content creator, like, make videos, post the videos, okay? 3 times a week on Instagram, twice a day on TikTok is what you need, you know? But people want valuable content. Like, I've had to learn, like, especially through Black Owned Everything, not to underestimate the audience too, because there's a thirst just for knowledge and smart conversations, and like, people want it, they need it. It's not just fluff, you know? So I hope that
people would kind of get into it, because again, you put so much work in, and it's very easy to look at something and say, I want to do that. Well, you have to ask yourself what you're willing to do.
What you're willing to sacrifice. Yeah,
right.
yeah, because sometimes it's the time, sometimes it's sleep, you know, it's that extra hour drive in the morning, you know, or those early mornings, or, you know, or whatever it is. You have to, you know, you definitely have to figure it out.
And trust me, as you get older, you'll say no a lot.
Oh,
You'll love no. You'll love it.
I was
because
loving
your coffers
no.
will be full, and you'll be all right with it.
I was loving no, and now I'm back to yes right now, just because I've had to. I'm like, oh wait, I thought I was done. No, you're not. You girl, you know, you're just getting started. And I thought, like, okay, I can kind of coast it out a little bit.
You're shifting.
I'm shifting, you know, and I think I don't know about y'all, but 2024 has like forced a lot of change. At like Q1, it was just like painful change, you know. It was just like you have to change, you know, if you want to get where you're going to go. You have to stop and shift. So I'm still changing, I'm still evolving, for sure.
Man, this was such an amazing session. Thank you so much, Zarena.
Thank
you have taught us so much about hustle, about working, about it all, about our love, our creativity, and even resting too. So thank you so much for this amazing session.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.